Bonjour, fellow Parisians. I realize it's been, well, almost 9 years since I last vlogged, so that's a really long time. But things have just been so busy. I feel like I haven't lost contact with any of you, per se, because I see you and I feel your support every time I perform. So thank you again. I'm loving performing at La Comédie Française. It's such a wonderful place to perform, and I'm loving developing my skill of acting. But I did just want to, give some updates on things happening right now in my life and kind of in the acting world. I had the wonderful experience of being in the tragedy Mérope, playing the title role. And Voltaire, for a long time, loved Mademoiselle Dumesnil in that role, which, of course, I have to give him credit for that because she's incredible. She is Mademoiselle Dumesnil, right? But he saw me in it just the other night, and he came up to me after the performance and commended me for the way I portrayed his heroine. So I am very pleased with praise from a playwright, especially such a notable playwright such as Voltaire. It's a great feeling to know that even when you're doing something different than what's normally popular, that people still recognize it as good. A lot of you ask me in letters or in comments on stage, what does make me so different from Mademoiselle Dumesnil? I think it mostly comes down to, of course, our acting styles are very different, because we are very different people. She's quite loud and expressive and very, very emotional. But she's also very true to what she's feeling and portraying that on stage, which I think is a very interesting way of acting. It's definitely a very theatrical, dramatic way of portraying a character, and it works for a lot of things. And she's been commended for many, many years, many years before I even came onto the scene for it. And then the way I like to think about acting is that it is very, it has to be intelligent, and you have to be able to think through the lines that you're saying. You have to work at it. It's not just something that pops out of you when you're on stage, or at least it shouldn't be necessarily. I felt powerful emotions before when I'm performing on stage, but I find that I'm most satisfied with my performance when I've put in extra work beyond simply showing up and memorizing and going and performing. But if I've really studied my characters and made it this industrious labor of love for these plays that I'm in, then that's when I'm satisfied, and that's when I feel like I can connect to the characters. Recently, I've also found that my acting tends to be very declamatory and not very realistic. I'm a fairly soft-spoken person normally, and so I've tried to pull that soft-spokenness, that little bit of reservation and vulnerability into my characters recently, because I think it provides an important wholeness to a character that an emotional, loud actress perhaps can't get to. I hope I'm not offending anyone by what I'm saying. I've also recently come to really appreciate historical accuracy. I find it helps me connect better with the material. It helps me understand where my characters are coming from. If I do my research, so to speak, and wear what they would wear, and act how they would act at their various times and places in history. And so that's been something that I've been changing recently, whereas Mademoiselle Dumesnil has stuck with her contemporary dress, which is fine. She has beautiful dresses, but that's just not something that I like to bring to my characters. I like them to live in the time and place that the playwright intended them to live. And so I guess that's, in my view, I mean, I'm no acting scholar or anything, but in my view, those are the main differences, and I don't think that it's really one's right and one's wrong, but one is definitely right for me, and that's the style that I've been adapting over these many years. Well, here's to many more years to come. Au revoir. Love you all.